Happy birthday, Shakespeare! In honor of your 448th birthday, I wanted to write up a list of the 448 ways that you have affected my life. But since that would take approximately forever, I've narrowed the list down to 12. We all know I love lists. At any rate, happy birthday, Billy, and here is one way that you've affected my life for every month between now and the next time I will be writing up another one of these lists. Number 12. I have actually written a one-act play called Young Fortinbras based on Hamlet's Norwegian foil. It is the only fanfiction I've ever written that I consider legit enough for other people to read without causing me serious amounts of embarrassment. Oh, and if you try to look for my old fanfiction.net account to read the embarrassing stuff, I will hurt you with my mind. Number 11. What would I write about on Facebook if not Shakespeare? I think 90% of my updates are Shakespeare related in some way or another. Talk about things Shakespeare could not have foreseen when he was writing these plays. Number 10. I'm not a hugely religious person, to be honest, and the clarity and beauty with which Shakespeare provides his brutally cutting wisdom renders his works as poignant a moral lesson book as I can think of. His characters are as vivid a pantheon to me as Zeus and co. must have been to the ancients. Human, flawed gods of amazing size and scope. Number 9. Shakespeare's language has made me a better speaker, grammarian, and all-around user of the English language than I ever would have been without it. Also, it's just gorgeous. Number 8. Julius Caesar. I don't know what my screen name would even be without Julius Caesar. Cassius is my second identity, with the name appropriated from the play, not from history directly. This angry, politically charged, jealous, skeptical man who cared way too much about Rome speaks to me in ways I can't even explain. I know he's a rare one to love, but love him I do, and sometimes I have even claimed to understand him. Number 7. If not for Shakespeare, I wouldn't have gotten into directing in college, and without directing, I wouldn't have realized that I'm into management and project leadership, and without that, I don't know how much of an idea I would have right now of what I want to do with my life. Obviously, I'm not done with that, but I do feel like directing has been a hugely key part of my proto-career. Also, I met some of the most amazingly talented, hardworking, awesome people when I was directing at school. And yes, I'm looking at you, cast and crew of Richard II, The Spanish Tragedy, and Oedipus. Yes, I know only one of those is Shakespeare, but it is the first one of the three that I mentioned, and I also directed a bunch of Shakespeare's scenes before I jumped into full-length shows. So even though only one of those three titles is actually Billy's, he's the one who kicked off the idea in my head. Number 6. Hamlet got me through junior year of high school. I wasn't the most emo kid or anything, but I didn't feel like I settled into a full social group until senior year of high school. And junior year, and those few months before I really started to settle in, I felt closer to this fictional Danish prince than I did my peers. The idea of being thwarted in your own life is a very potent idea, whether you're a student or a prince, or both. Number 5. These plays attached themselves to my psyche from the minute I started reading them. Unlike most people, I didn't fall in love with these plays because of seeing a particular production. It was from reading the plays when I was 13 years old in 8th grade. I became the resident Shakespeare person in my life when I was 14, right after that, and I've maintained the title. Believe me, that takes a good bit of upgrading when you go from the only kid in high school who's been known to have read any more than the plays that have been assigned to the head of a college Shakespeare group. But damn it, I managed. That was going to be my title, and I am never giving it up. Number 4. Shakespeare has almost become so old he's like new again. The shock on people's faces in the audience, often mixed with an amused delight upon hearing the unexpectedly homoerotic speech about Cassio from Iago, or the "your mom" joke from Aaron in Titus, or from other various edgy pieces of material in the canon. It's worth the price of admission alone sometimes. The fact that his works maintain an edge and stay fun while being these old, beautiful works of art, it's almost as uplifting as the plays themselves. I think it also causes us to think a little bit about what high art can include. There's a bit of snobbery these days, of course, and I think Shakespeare sort of flies in the face of that. Number 3, Richard II. This play, seriously, read it, see it. Figure out if you are pro or anti the main character, and if you are anti, come debate me and we will fight to the death. Do it. Now. Long story short, this play rewired my brain and showed me just how possible it is to love, and I mean seriously, love a protagonist capable of some royally epic victory. Not villainy, not error, not shock and horror, but just premeditated victory. And it doesn't matter, because Richard doesn't inspire dismissal as a dick. He inspires adoration. He inspires hatred in real-life readers as well as the other characters in the play. How good is Shakespeare? Seriously. But yes, this is the only Shakespeare play I've directed because that's how far it got in my head. Number 2. Shakespeare's characters provide fantastic and extreme emotional highs, and so long as you are capable of mentally breaking down reality and fiction, and you're not doing anything particularly wonky with stage weaponry, it's also a pretty safe high. Shakespeare shows us that the emotions we feel every day, hatred, love, relief, pain, joy, jealousy, and more, are in fact the same building blocks as high drama. That yes, we get distracted by the minutiae of everyday life, but when we find time to feel that deeply, what we go through is no different from what these grand figures feel in their stories. Shakespeare shows us the tragic sides not just in his characters, but in humanity, and that includes us. And number 1. I wrote my college essay, The Shakespeare Nut, about the various ways in which Shakespeare continues to speak to the human experience and to my personal experience, and how in love I was with his words and characters. I was, when I wrote it, and still am, pretty young, and I wasn't going to lie on my essay and give some nonsense about finding the meaning of life on some world-traveling trip the way that a lot of sample essays show. I wanted to be honest, and honestly, Shakespeare had helped me fill my world with a real emotional life, even by that point, and I wrote about that. So there you go. Shakespeare, the 12 biggest ways you have affected me. Much love to this insane body of work that is such a gift that keeps on giving. For Pursued by a Bear, I'm Cassius. Happy 448th.